It's only been a month, but there has been so much that has happened within the Toronto real estate market. And as we will see in today's video, where I go through the latest figures we have with regards to July 2023 numbers from across the GTA and Toronto real estate market, we see the trends that I described that were happening in June have only continued and exasperated into July of 2023. This video is being recorded August 9th, so obviously we do not have August data available to us, but within the first 9 days of August, I'm seeing the same things as well. So how much have prices fallen? Have they fallen a lot? What does this mean about the Toronto real estate market? Is it a supply issue? Is it a demand issue? Well, we're gonna cover all this and much more in today's video. As always, hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and RE/MAX Realtron Realty Inc. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm a Toronto real estate agent who actively works with buyers and sellers across the GTA. On this channel, I love to discuss all things having to do with the GTA and Toronto real estate market stats, market trends, market reports such as this, condo market reports, area analysis, building reviews, pre-construction previews, property tours when I buy or sell a property, and so much more. So if you find any of this content informative, I would really advise you to subscribe and follow for more. And lastly, if you have any further questions, feel free to get in touch with my contact information in the description box. Now, off the bat, and this is probably the simplest and most accurate claim to make, all the gains we saw in the spring of 2023 are simply, at this point in time, nearly all gone or all gone. That's right. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at this chart. This mini chart that I took from my sheets, my Google Sheets document on all the housing numbers, market trends, and market stats that I keep track of myself. And by the way, for first access to these numbers or any other categories or any other numbers I'm going to be talking about upcoming in this video, feel free to definitely join my WhatsApp group chat where everyone gets first access to these figures and charts. But nonetheless, though, as you can see from this table, this chart, right now, the average sold price of a property, any home, whether it's detached, semi, or condo across the GTA, so we're talking Mississauga to downtown Toronto to North York to Scarborough to King City, really the vastness that is the GTA. Well, the average sold price for a property is $1,118,000 across the GTA. And at this price point, we see nearly that it represents a 5.4% drop on a month-over-month basis when compared to the June price, and the June price itself was down 1.1% from May. So effectively, the downward trend started in June, and thus far it has continued and exasperated to July, to the point where all the gains we saw in March, April, and May are nearly all gone. And once again, you can refer to this chart. You see that February of 2023 was up from January, which is no surprise. January is usually one of the slowest seasons, but February jumped nearly 5.5%. And from February into March prices climbed up again. Here though, negligibly around 1.1%, but things picked back up immediately into April, where prices jumped 4%, jumping from $1,108,000 to the average sold price of $1,153,000. And that trend continued into May, where we saw nearly an average sold price of $1.2 million, but to be exact, prices jumped 3.7% and prices ended up at $1,196,000 in May. But that's in the past, because since the downward trend started in June, now into July, these gains that we saw in namely April and May are all gone. As to why this is happening, well, I've discussed it every single month and every single week when I cover these numbers, but to summarize quickly, the spring market of 2023 was somewhat of a resurgence, because preceding the spring market of 2023, frankly, all the way back to April of 2022 to January of 2023, we were seeing a stagnating, declining, sideways market as the Bank of Canada continued to increase interest rates every other meeting or every meeting. But in spring of 2023, that's when the Bank of Canada, for 2 straight meetings in a row, did not touch the rates and continued a conditional pause, which added further fuel to the spring market. And the spring market is already seasonally hot anyways, in combination with low inventory and rates being paused and hopes of rates eventually being cut. Well, that led to a very hot, vibrant market in spring. Well, of course, all that has changed once again as as the Bank of Canada has stopped the conditional pause policy, but has continued to increase interest rates, something that should have been very obvious if you were listening to the right people. But although the July number it has come at $1,118,000 as an average sold price across the GTA, this average sold price still represents an increase of 4.2% on a year-over-year perspective. So I just showed you in the beginning of the video in explaining how all the gains we saw in the spring market are gone. I showed you the month-over-month perspective starting from January. Well, here from a year-over-year perspective, the market in terms of the average sold price is still up. That is also undeniable as well. Wherein in July of 2022, we were looking at an average sold price of $1,073,000 as opposed to, once again, the average sold price we're looking at right now at $1,118,000. So that is some good news. It shows us that the market has still held steady on a year-over-year basis, although on a month-over-month basis, it's been declining 2 months in a row. But let's break this average sold price down a little bit further. Let's break it down by property type. So that means let's take a look at average sold prices for detached, semis, townhomes, and condos. Well, we see, not surprisingly so, much of the same trend. Let's take detached properties, for example. The average sold price of a detached property came in at $1,427,000. This represented a 6% drop month over month from June, where in June of 2023, the average was at $1,530,000. And this is the lowest sold price for a detached property since January of 2023. So once again, much like the overall category with detached properties, we see the same trend. All the gains that we saw in spring are pretty much at this point in time gone. However, keep in mind this is across the GTA, right? So we're breaking it down by property type. We're still not breaking it down by geographic location in terms of region, city, and municipality. And I can tell you on the ground, some municipalities, some communities are faring much better. This is a general figure and not really specific to a certain community, which is really key if you're an actual serious buyer on the ground or seller on the ground. You should be looking at more precise numbers. And I won't touch on semis and townhomes, but just to quickly also touch on condos, once again, here are the condo figures. We see that in the beginning of 2023, condos didn't increase as much as detached, or for that matter semis or townhomes, but nonetheless condos have also reversed course in the last 2 preceding months. Now, interestingly enough, and this is something I'm going to keep patting myself on the back because I've been saying it for a long time and it keeps coming true, and the facts keep bearing it out, which is condos are the most stable, and these figures also justify that as well. As you can see, the declines are not as much as the detached property type or other property type. So what do I mean by that? Well, on a month over month basis, when the prices are going up, they're not increasing as much, and on a month over month basis, when the prices are dropping for condos, they're not decreasing as much. Longtime viewers of this channel are probably very sick and tired of me talking about that fact. But let's put aside prices for the time being. Let's take a look at the inventory figures. With regards to inventory on a year-over-year basis, it's actually quite healthy. We see really healthy numbers in terms of new inventory because we see an increase of 11.5%. So that means in July of 2023, there were around, according to these latest figures, 13,700 new listings that came onto the market for sale, as opposed to the 12,290 figure we were looking at in July of 2022. So a 11% increase is a very good increase in terms of inventory, something that's much needed within the GTA and Toronto real estate market. But the story is much more different when we take a look at the month over month figures, because here, and this is probably the thing I'm most disappointed with regards to the GTA and Toronto real estate market so far in the summer of 2023, which is the depressing and anemic supply. Yes, as we just covered, on a year over year front, inventory is up, but on a month over month front, we fell from 15,000 new listings in June down to 13,000 new listings. This is such a sad figure because in a lot of ways right now what is helping prices not drop more than they have already dropped is the lack of new inventory on the market. Because if there was this rush of inventory that I predicted, and I'll be the first to say I was wrong, but if that rush were to have come, well, there are a lot of buyers who are waiting and willing to take advantage of that supply, and that just has not come to fruition yet. However, active inventory, so the inventory that is staying on market as opposed to new listings, right? Active listings, the listings that have come on market in months past and have kind of gone into the next month, well, that figure is increasing, which in a lot of ways tells us that properties are staying on market for a longer period of time and they're having a harder time selling. But that is a separate point from new listings and new inventory. But let me touch a little bit more on the importance of the fact that active inventory is increasing on a month-over-month basis. Pretty much what that means is that every month there are more properties that are not selling. As a result, they're crossing over into the following month's figures of active inventory. And as that surplus continues to carry over into the next subsequent month, the active inventory stat and figure will increase more and more, further indicating that properties are once again kind of just holding water and collecting dust, for a lack of a better word, on market. So why is this important? Well, once again, it clearly indicates to us that the conditions are in place for buyers to take advantage of a buyer's market if new inventory were also to increase as well, but that's just simply not the case. As to why active inventory is staying on market and increasing on a month-over-month front, it's a combination, as always. Answer is quite boring, but it's a combination of things having to do with the supply side, the seller side, and things having to do with the demand side, the buyer side. A lot of sellers are going on market, but they're not budging in terms of their expectations. They still have yesterday's price in mind, for lack of a better word. Similarly, there are a lot of buyers who are waiting for new inventory to come, so they have more options. And these are buyers who have not been eliminated by the increase in interest rates that the Bank of Canada is doing as a policy, right? A lot of buyers have kind of been eliminated from the market due to the rate hikes and interest rate increases. They're kind of saying, hey, we can't afford to buy now, or hey, why would we buy now if they're going to keep continuing to increase the rates? The prices are going to go down further. So ultimately, it does have to do with somewhat of a diminishing demand, and supply is already low, right? New inventory is down, and what inventory is on the market is not selling easily. Now, that's not to say transactions aren't happening, right? Sales were around, I think, the 5,500 figure, right, which was up year over year. Transactions are still happening. The last 2 months, I've purchased, I think, 2 to 3 properties, and we're about to bring on a listing onto the market very soon. So there are transactions happening. It's just that the meeting of the minds is becoming more of a difficult proposition. And with regards to what's going to happen going forward with price, well, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm making this prediction officially right now, that in September, when the August numbers are out, that we will see not only a drop in prices on a month-over-month basis, the trend we've been seeing so far for the last 2 months, but we will also see August numbers come in lower than March numbers. If you recall earlier in the video where how I discussed all the gains we have seen or have kind of disappeared, the July numbers were still higher than the March numbers. Well, I wouldn't be surprised that once we see the August figures come out in terms of prices, they're going to come in lower than March numbers. But let me know what you think. Do you think any of this is going to happen or not? As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realty Inc. Thank you very much, sir, for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.